Before I begin, it is requested that all mobile phones please be turned off or placed on silent. Thank you. Sacred Earth Funerals welcome you here to this beautiful sanctuary in Coraki to gather and feel the love and support of each other and the love of Bill. My name is Leanne Gunther. It is a privilege to be your celebrant here today on behalf of Susanna, Jenny and Wendy and their families. We thank you all for coming to share in this final tribute, to honour and give reverence to Bill, the life of our beloved William Alfred HOVELL. Born on the 4th of August 1949 and passed on the 30th of April 2024, after years of battling amyloidosis, a rare disease not commonly known. We will now hear the tolling of the bells 3 times as a mark of love and respect for Bill, to honour his life and his passing. There are some who bring a light so great to the world that even after they have gone, their light remains. We gather here together to remember the times shared, which created a special place in our hearts, a time to remember laughter, to remember tears, to just remember, and to feel the joy. We gather to share the sorrow and the sadness. Allow yourselves to feel and release that which needs to be released. Tears, laughter, and joy. And an appreciation of a life well lived by a man who had a great love for his family, a man who lived life on his terms and in his way. We gather to support each other, to nourish ourselves with healing through the essence of just being together, sharing in love and honesty and memories. Truly connect to the essence and the memories of Bill, and know that a part of him will be with you as you journey forward. Bill married the love of his life, Susanna, 46 years ago. They shared a deep love and bond together. They have 2 children, Wendy and Jenny, sons-in-law, Andrew and Kyle, grandchildren, Nicholas, who called him a Bulo, and Quinn, who called him a Babu. He leaves behind his mother, Marisabel, and sister, Cecilia, and her 2 children, Melissa and Scott, and their families. We remember and honour Susanna's dad, Marcelo, and Mum Christina, and Bill's dad, William, whom have already passed from this world. We think of all of Bill's family and friends in Argentina, England, and around the world who are unable to be with us on this day. Argentina was always in Bill's heart. Before we go on, you are invited to the Larnook Fire Brigade station for a get-together following the service. Members of the service can provide you with the details as you leave. The family would like to thank Lindsay and Jane, who unfortunately are unable to make it today, Mike and Kim, Rob and Lyndall, and Jan for their help and their support. They would also like to thank the Lismore Base Hospital Renal Unit, the palliative care nurses, the oncology unit at St Vincent's Hospital, and the Princess Alexandra Hospital Amyloidosis Clinic. Now Susanna will read the eulogy.
Good morning, everyone. Bill would have been amazed at the number of people who remembered him and are here today to honor and farewell him. Who would want to come, he said. So thank you all very much. Bill was born in San Juan, in the foothills of the Andes Range in Argentina in 1949. The family moved quite a lot, as his dad, Bill Sr., a railways engineer with Ways and Works, was posted to different areas by the then British Railways. His mother, Marisabel, is of Spanish Basque descent, while his dad came from an English and Irish family. This combination made for a very interesting personality. He was sent off to boarding school at the ripe age of 8, a very British thing to do. It was there that he learned English and became quite independent. He was made of good, solid timber, as a dear friend said of him recently. In 1969-1970, he was called up to do his military service, which he did in the military police. He was always ingenious and creative, and this led him to offer his services in a variety of roles for which he had absolutely no training whatsoever, in the hope that it would help make things a little more pleasant. He offered his services as a baker, a tailor, a barber. Inevitably, disaster followed, leading to many a weekend spent in the barracks, while his friends went back home to their families. Nonetheless, he always said that it had been a great experience and that it made him more resilient. After his military service, he decided to go back to school and completed his HSC at night school, while he worked during the day as an interpreter for the missions to seafarers. Often he would be called on board British merchant navy ships that had docked in Buenos Aires and had to interpret for drunken sailors who'd been arrested for unruly behavior on land. His love of reading in English came from that time when he was given books on board and whiskey. In 1973, the return of Perón to Argentina augured badly for the country, and Bill and a friend decided to leave. Australia beckoned. As British citizens, the door was wide open at the time. They were planning to work in prawn trawlers, but instead they found a variety of jobs in Sydney and rented a flat overlooking the coastline in Bondi. Eventually, they decided to move north. Bill took a job as a plant operator at the Edmonton Sugar Mill, 13 kilometers south of Cairns. He made many friends among the Fijian workers. Whenever there was a party, he was the one who had to climb the palm trees to get the breadfruit. In time, he got a recommendation from the management and moved to Nhulunbuy in the Territory to take up a similar job at the alumina plants there. There were 53 different nationalities there at the time, and he loved it. He also learned a lot about Aboriginal culture there. Bill had a motorbike, and not long after Cyclone Tracy, decided to cross from Nhulunbuy to Darwin on his beloved Yamaha. There were no actual roads, just tracks whose corrugation made the ride hell. Mataranka, Catherine, the Goyder River. It was a magical and adventurous time. In 1977, he felt it was time to go back to Argentina to see his parents and friends. We met in 1978 through mutual friends, one of whom is here today. He was a romantic. On our second date, I found a note on my typewriter filled with words of love and his proposal. Shortly after, we got married and left for Australia. He wanted to go back to uni and enrolled in a horticulture degree at Hawkesbury Agricultural College, now University of Western Sydney. His practical mind earned him a special award on graduation day in 1980. In December of that year, we moved to Larnook. Bill was always a builder of families, a builder of communities, a builder of friendships. While in Nhulunbuy, he started building a boat, which he could not finish because the heat ruined the drums of resin he had had freighted there. His mechanical knowledge was amazing for someone with no formal training in engineering. Farming was ideal, as it allowed him the freedom he so enjoyed and the possibility to work on machinery, pumps, and tractors at his leisure. He was a builder of families. Our daughters Wendy and Jenny were, in his words, his greatest accomplishment. He loved his girls so much, and in time became a valued friend and sounding board. He was always available. He would pause what he was doing and make time for us, even if he was on the roof halfway through something. Not until the conversation had finished would you realize he was somewhere hanging on for dear life. And that's very true. Our grandsons, Nicholas and Quinn, were his pride and joy. He couldn't wait for their visits from Brisbane, and he followed their every news in detail. For years, Nico called him every night just before bed, and they shared the latest news, school, sports, the weather. One of his greatest regrets was that amyloidosis had prevented him from doing that for longer and from holding his grandson's hands through life a little longer. He was already missing meeting his third grandson, due in a few months. However, he knew that both Kyle and Andrew, our sons-in-law, were doing a sterling job, which was a big vote of confidence coming from him. He was a builder of communities. Both Larnock Public School and the Larnock Fire Brigade benefited from his talent and dedication. He constantly advocated for better equipment and conditions for volunteer firefighters, including his idea of a superannuation scheme for you all. He was essentially a problem solver. Any problem he faced became a project, and he researched and organized and cajoled until the problem was solved to his high standards. He was a builder of friendships. Some of the friendships he made when he went backpacking through Argentina in 1969, before his military service, still endure to this day. He was a sharp and brilliant judge of character and a steadfast friend. Many of his friends I can also claim as my own, and I'm so grateful to see you all here. I know you will hold our hands through this very difficult time. Whew. Bill was my Renaissance man, a man of many talents, of courage, and a great sense of humor, irony, and fairness. He researched and learned so much about so many things. You could discuss scientific discoveries, astronomy, trees, birds, insects, machinery, motors, solar energy, EVs, crops, aircraft, philosophy, wind energy, timbers, art, metals, welding, stained glass windows, IT, history, you name it, he had read about it. Cooking and the science of it fascinated him and brought friend and family around the delicious results. He could not understand how some people could say they already knew enough and had lost interest in learning. He was an avid learner and a man ahead of his time. He designed a house with a curved roof when you could not see anything like it anywhere. He researched materials meticulously and was a perfectionist in every detail. He was an artist, and once he had an idea in his head, he would look and look until he found the materials to bring it to fruition. Bill loved animals, and he had a very soft spot for his dogs and his cattle. They all just came to him, and so did butcherbirds, magpies, willy wagtails. He loved music, and there was always music playing at home. He played opera and other classical music to his cows. He played Argentine folk music on the guitar. You probably all saw the photo outside, and tried to perfect his playing whenever he could. Above all else, he was a devoted family man, and we shall miss his love, protection, tenderness, and wisdom and counsel enormously. Thank you. Oh, that was hard.
Thank you, Susanna. Some beautiful words. As a tribute, to Bill, Gary Carter, who was a teacher at the Larnock Primary School, where Wendy and Jenny attended and became a great friend of his, will now share some words with him, about him with us.
think I might have known Bill a little bit after Susanna's words. I first met Bill and Susanna when their eldest daughter, Wendy, commenced kindergarten at Larnach School. Being Wendy's teacher, I got to speak and see Bill and Susanna fairly regularly at school drop-off and pick-up times. I soon realised that Susanna and Bill were lovely people and friendly, who took a genuine interest in their children's learning and were always supportive of whatever they could do. Before long, our families were enjoying many good times together and a cherished friendship developed. When thinking of Bill, you automatically include his family. Time shared with Bill was time shared with his family. A warm, close and inclusive feeling with lots of conversations intermingled with laughter and people generally enjoying themselves being together. The HOVELLs was a nice place to go. I'm sure Bill got great satisfaction in having his family and friends gathered. Our families enjoyed low-cost camping trips like the Green Mountain Border Ranges. Rain never deterred us. My children always recall Bill making soup over a fireplace under a picnic shelter at Sheep Station Creek. The rain was pouring, the wood was damp, the soup was the best ever. A good time was had, and Ryan, my son, reminded me that we didn't have a cooking implement to prepare the ham bone for the soup, so Bill utilised the axe. Many memories flood back and stories could be told of adventures Bill and I had in his green truck, which was an ex-army truck, such as the time a load of hay fell off the truck onto the footpath in front of the Kyogle pool. The time Bill purchased an old corn harvester that resembled a brontosaurus in half-light. After winching the machine up onto a large tree branch and loading it onto the truck, we made our way home. The truck blew a spark plug. With the sight of the brontosaurus and the noise of the truck that the truck was making, we were certainly noticed by passing motorists and people in Kyogle. I sometimes wondered if Susanna winced at the thought of Bill and I heading off in the green truck. Bill had a thirst for understanding and knowing. He was skilled and capable in many areas. A knowledgeable and thoughtful person, he thoroughly researched anything that he was about to undertake. Bill was a great mentor for me in this regard. For example, Bill talking about his thinking behind selecting the materials as he was constructing the changes to his family's house. Bill was a very community-minded person. He was an enthusiastic, strong supporter of Wendy and Jenny's school at Larnach, both as an individual and as a member of the P&C. Bill volunteered countless, and I mean thousands of hours, planning, working and organising materials and other volunteers to build a large undercover area and extend the playing area of the school. He was a member of the Rural Fire Service and later became captain of the Larnach Brigade for many years. Bill, loved and adored by your family, never one to overstate yourself or your views, a sense of humour coupled with a chuckle, a cheeky grin, an honest and genuine person on all that you did. You will always be present in our thoughts and memories.
Thank you, Gary, for your beautiful words and sharing. Now we will hear from Michael Kenner, who shared many years of firefighting, farming and friendship with Bill.
There's going to be a few common themes in the last two speeches, but anyway, we'll cope. For those that don't know me, my name is Mike Kenner, and I am Bill and Susanna's next door neighbour. I first met Bill in the 80s. We were both doing a TAFE course together. The next time our paths crossed was when my wife and I bought a farm at Larnook in 1994. I need new glasses. Which was right next to the HOVELL family farm. But it really wasn't until I joined the RFS in 2003 that I got to know the legend that was Bill. Bill could do anything he set his mind to. He was captain of the Larnook Brigade for many years and was a great captain. He was ideally suited to the role, with an ability to assess a situation and make decisions based on what information he had, regardless of what pressure he was under. He could take information from those around him, but make his own decision. He was not afraid to disagree with somebody if he thought they were wrong. He liked to buy pieces of equipment for the brigade, like one of those early GPSs. He would take it home and master it, and then bring it down to the shed and teach us all how to use it. For him, that knowledge stayed in his head, while the rest of us had struggled to remember how to use it the next time we had to. I respected him greatly. When we were younger, the RFS was fun. He and I would go to every fire we were called to, and if we were stuck out overnight, that's just the way it was. We had a gas burner on the truck, tea and coffee, and the food was usually biscuits and energy bars that had expired a couple of years previous. In between patrols, we would sit up there on the hill with the brigade members and solve the world's worries and talk about simpler times. Gary, you're probably not going to know more about this story. I don't know where he's gone. Anyway, but see how we go. It might have been a drought year, and we were talking about feeding cattle, and Bill told the story of a load of hay that he brought home on his trusty ex-Army Ford D-Series truck. It was stacked so high. Unfortunately, somewhere near the swimming pool at Kyogle, half the load fell off. A passing policeman looked at him more in sorrow than in anger and kept going. These days there'd be a Royal Commission and stop go signs and who knows what. P&C was, Bill was very community minded. Before I knew him, he was chair of the Larnook Public School P&C and was well respected in the role. One project completed while he was in the job was a roof over the school playground. I think I'm right in saying that it was designed by Bill and built by him and many other locals. Poles were used for the frame. I don't remember how long they were, but suffice to say, they were far too long to be legal for the average truck. No problem. Bill got the ever-reliable D-Series out and the poles were felled and loaded. Unfortunately, the first hill they came to, the front wheels of the truck left the ground. I don't know how they got around it. Probably just turned the truck around and backed up. Needless to say, the poles were not shortened. Despite the drama, an impressive structure was built and was only pulled down recently due to white ants. Perhaps I might have made light of Bill's achievements. That's not my intention. There are so many of them, including organising, designing and helping build the meeting room at the Larnook fire shed, which is where we're going later. He and I did a fair bit of fencing together, and like everything other thing he did, he liked it done right. He used to drive me mad with some of his ideas. The barbed wire had to go around the corner post twice, because that was the right way to do it. Neither one of us had brothers. So in some ways, our relationship was like brothers. Not always agreeing, but always respecting. See you, Bill.
Thank you, Michael, for sharing such beautiful words. And now Wendy will share some words with you about her dad, followed by Jenny.
Me daddy, the man of 1,000 projects on the go, the centre of our universe. Born with a gravitational pull towards him, with the ability to make the best of most situations and make friendships wherever life took him, across provinces, countries and continents. 42 years. My dad, my friend, my teacher, and then Nico's amazing abuelo. You guided me, you taught me. And you were always there when I needed you. You and Mama built our world. And what an incredible world that is. I already miss you so much. I will forever miss your presence and your warmth and the way your energy filled a room. I will miss our cooking adventures, being out on the farm together with the vacas, building, talking, researching, experimenting, learning, eating your incredible paellas and asados, drinking red wine and discussing the universe and all that it contains, burning my mouth sharing mates. I will even miss our battles and you telling me what to do. If only I could have a 43rd year with you. Descansa bien, Daddy. Te quiero más que más para siempre. Tu hijita de papá. I should have been born first. I could have gone first. Okay. When we talk about circles of influence or inner circles, well, I saw Dad as more of a spiral. For those who knew of him, he was a gentleman, a farmer, a builder, a fire captain, and an IT guru, and a private man. But as he let you in, you saw that he was a respected community leader, an amazing cook, and a really good laugh. Spiraling inward, you'd get closer still. You would see he was thoughtful and kind, a person who brought people together and loved them hard. Dad had a ball everywhere he went. He was an awesome storyteller. He may have shared tales of his crazy adventures in Argentina and Oz. He was pretty wild. He flew planes, worked on a sailing boat, as Mum said, had scuba diving adventures. He hitchhiked all over Argentina from top to bottom and in between. He rode a motorbike across Arnhem Land in crazy conditions and settled at the end of a dirt road in Larnook. A farm that he found while on a uni field trip and convinced his whole family to join him. With so many epic stories, Dad unintentionally converted me and possibly others into an avid traveller and adventurer. And I do love motorbikes. His ability to get along with anybody and everybody is the other gem I can thank Dad for. So by now, you'd know he met my mum, Susanna, at a friend's party. They met, married, and left for good in a month, only to return once to Argentina for a visit with us kids 20 years later. Quinn's going to dismantle this building shortly. We'll put it back together at the end. But Argentina never left Dad's heart. He loved the gauchos, kind of like jackaroos here. He loved the rich folklore, the food, the friendships, the music, and the culture. It is freaking awesome. For those lucky enough to have been even closer to Dad, you'd have seen the magnificent home that he designed and built. Maybe you even helped. He was an artist. He was good at everything and a perfectionist, which is probably something else he passed on to me. But working with Dad was no walk in the park, and that's where Dad's most colourful language may have been on display. He was a solo operator, and there were only a few times he would trust anybody to do the job for him. Farming was similar, but his good friends would prove that they were up to the task, so you'd know many things and stories that I wouldn't, and probably language too. As the spiral tightens, there were super deep and meaningful talks with Dad, which had a complex mix of spiritually enlightened, although he'd never ever say that, science and 100% heart. And at his core, in the middle of the spiral, Dad was a good person and an independent and alternative thinker. He cared deeply about the environment and our impact on Pachamama, Mother Earth. And what mattered most to him was us, his family. So I'm going to read something in Spanish that no one's going to understand. Well, only a few people, but this is where the tears will come, no doubt. Querido Dadams Didi, parece mentira que partiste. Por suerte me diste el gran proyecto de pintar tu ataúd, cajón, caja. Porque si no, no sé cómo haría. Creo que te habría gustado un montón y que creo que crecí como artista en este tiempo. Espero que será suficientemente adecuado para acompañarte, mi papá. Increíble. No ha parado de llover, pero me parece bien porque esta tristeza es tan profunda que no merece que salga el sol. Hoy una gota de lluvia cayó en una ventana larga y llegó desde arriba hasta abajo. Y pensé, ¿cómo puedo seguir llorando después de 5 años o más? Pero así será. Nunca llega al fin este dolor y el hueco que dejas. Por suerte nos diste tanto todos estos años que siento la riqueza de tu inmensa cabeza y corazón. Te siento mirando, no sé si es así, pero te siento. Y espero que siempre estés ahí, mi daddy, con un ojo abierto para ver de qué se trata. No te preocupes, la vamos a cuidar a mami siempre, y siempre, y siempre. Siempre hablaré de vos, daddy, a mis hijitos que no tuvieron la oportunidad de crecer con vos y aprender todo lo que les podrías dar. Eso me da tanta lástima, pero haré lo máximo para inspirarlos que sigan tu ejemplo. Te amo, Dad. Siempre, Jenny.
Thank you for sharing those beautiful words about your dad. Rob McCosker, who shared a love of nature with Bill and enjoyed many hours of conversation around the dinner table, will now share a special poem with us by Michael Lunig.
Friends. Friendship. It's an interesting concept. And I think somewhat trivialised these days with social media where we're constantly friending people. But I've been thinking about what makes a friend, a good friend. And one of the definitions that I've come across that I thought was very poignant is that a friend is someone who'll tell you what you need to hear. And he won't necessarily tell you what you want to hear. But he'll tell you what you need to hear because he wants you to be a better person. And to that end, Bill was always striving through his whatever role he undertook to make those around him better people. And Bill had this poem that was pinned to his notice board beside his desk for many years, I believe, by Michael Lunig. And it's called Prayer for Friends. And it goes like this. We give thanks to our friends, our dear friends. We anger each other. We fail each other. We share this sad earth, this tender life, this precious time. Such richness, such wildness. Together we are blown about. Together we are dragged along. All this delight, all this suffering, all this forgiving life we hold it together. And I think that last line, we hold it together, sums Bill up to a T. He, throughout his life, but particularly in the last months and weeks, I was just so astounded at the way that man held it together. Remarkable. A great friend, and a bit like Mike, to me, he was a brother. He had many brothers. But anyway, the only thing I would like to say is, yeah, we were talking to our mate upstairs there, you might just mention it. We've got the fire out now. Probably turn the showers off.
Thank you, it's beautiful. And I will now read some messages that have come through from people. The first one is from Vicky. Dear Willie, turning the clock back to March 1978, and I can't but smile when at my farewell party to come to Australia, your life was about to change forever. Your parents had told me about their son, who was living in Australia and was planning to come to Buenos Aires for a holiday. Once in Buenos Aires, we met a few times. You may recall telling me about your life in Gove and other places. Sometime later, it was my time to come to Australia, when I invited you and your parents to my little party at my home in Olivos. My closest friends were there, including Susanna, a work colleague with whom we had developed a very close friendship. It wasn't long before you and Susanna became attracted to each other, and romance and wedding followed. So did travelling together as a couple to Australia a few months later. Canberra, and Seven Hills, and then Larnook. Of course, I may have missed another place in between, but your memory is better than mine. It was the start to a whole new adventure in your lives, and I was thrilled. Having you and my dear Susanna in Australia was something one can only dream of. Of course, your parents and Susanna's parents followed some time later. Cecilia was already settled in Australia. Time passed, and you and Susanna started a family. Two beautiful and very accomplished daughters, now happily married with two gorgeous grandsons, and I believe with one on the way. You have been much loved by all. Your legacy is a gift for the love, respect, and work ethics for all to follow. Thank you, Willie. Many hugs, my dear friend, from Vicky. Another second is from Michelle. Willie HOVELL. I met him on a first trip to Australia years ago, more than 20. It was my first encounter with Willie. Charismatic, we hit it off immediately. We shared very happy times as a family. I won't dwell on Willie's impressive adventure through life. I will only mention the last 7 years, because those were the years when our contact was at a very high level of understanding. We shared extensive talks on every conceivable topic. World politics as an example, which although we never managed to fix, we enjoyed our shared visions. And so on, with so many subjects of mutual interest. Our talks were always light-hearted, even if a few topics were not so. Our heartbeats were in unison. One day, a few weeks ago, Willie called me to say goodbye. I couldn't hold back a lump in my throat. I was speechless and I broke down. It was my first experience with a man of admirable courage and spirit of resignation. Willie was a very brave man, knowledgeable, genuine, and sincere. I admire him and will always remember him as Susanna's beloved companion and a dear friend. Rest in peace, my dear friend. And now, a microphone will be passed around amongst you all. Feel free to share a memory or speak of how you knew Bill, or read the words you have written. Roberto Mayer, would you mind leading the way?
Hola, Willie. Many know you as Bill, but to Monica and myself, you will always be our querido amigo Willie, our dear friend Willie. Our friendship goes back many years. In fact, Suzanne, you and I remember precisely where it was that the three of us first met a long time ago. It was at the farewell party at my mother's home in Buenos Aires, Argentina, about 46 years ago. I remember our conversation with you that night, Willie, and you telling me lots about Australia, about the free-spirited lifestyle you very much enjoyed, about you working in the mines in Gove and riding your motorbike hundreds of kilometers to Darwin through croc-infested areas before Crocodile Dundee. What you told the 21-year-old me was exciting. You made it all sound like a great adventure. Soon, I too was making my way over to explore this wonderful country. But that party night, circa May 1978, is significant for another reason. It was at that party that Willie's humbleness, charm, and wit caught Suzanne's attention, and the spell was cast. Only a few months later, Willie and Suzanne tied the knot and then made their way over to Australia to start a new life here. Just a couple of years later, I visited Suzanne and Willie in Lanuk, or was it Kawongla, as they were settling into life on the farm. It was the first of many visits spread over more than 4 decades, during which we saw Suzanne and Willie's dream of a happy life together come true. As the farm prospered, the family grew with the arrival of Wendy and Jenny. It was a joy to see Willie and Suzanne being wonderful parents to both, and then embrace their extended family as sons-in-laws and children and grandchildren arrived. Willie, Monica and I thoroughly enjoyed the time we spent with Suzanne, you and the family on the farm on so many occasions. You were a wonderful host and would like to thank you so much for your warm welcome and friendship all these years. Dear Willie, we'd like to dedicate to you Zohad Irfan's wonderful poem, Until We Meet Again.
Those special memories of you will always bring a smile.
If only we could have you back, just for a while.
Then we could sit and talk again, just like we used to do.
You always meant so very much, and always will do too.
The fact that you are no longer here will always cause us pain.
But you're forever in our hearts, until we meet again. Ciao,
Ciao.
hasta siempre. So long, amigo Willie.
Who would like to go next? I have the mic I can bring to you.
This is from myself, Heather, Glenn, and our daughter Alicia. Bill was a trailblazer. Nothing was too hard. My connection with Bill, Susanna, and the girls started in our children's primary school days. We crossed paths a lot in those days.
followed by his house building days, for me particularly, and then more recently in the local fire brigade, which is where Glenn had more contact over the years. He was a leader always prepared to try something new. He supported his community and always offered his time and brought people together. At first he seemed a very serious person, but as we got to know him more, we realised there was a devilish sense of humour with a very infectious laugh. We will miss those conversations on electric vehicles or anything new, really, and interesting. Bill was across it all. Farewell. When I saw Bill most recently, I said, "See you again," for want of anything else. He said, "Somewhere." Bill.
Gina and myself. Bill was a very compassionate person. He cared about everyone and would go out of his way to help anyone in the community, which made him a great captain and friend. I fondly remember the paella lunch that Bill hosted for Fire Brigade members and their families many years ago. You will be missed by everyone.
Well, what I'd like to say, I think, was something prompted by Quinny. I visited, we visited the other day, Rob and I, over at Susanna's, and Jenny was just doing this amazing job here, and I was playing on the floor with Quinny, and we pulled out a book, and it was in Spanish. 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish, and he was very quick to tell me what the words were in Spanish. But the Dr. Seuss book then reminded me of something. I used to be a preschool teacher, which is how I first met this guy. And I thought, The Places We'll Go is an actual Dr. Seuss book. And I thought, of all the stories that Bill just had in his life, and we'd go around for dinner and, like the Dusty Dynamos, like on behalf of the Dusty Dynamos, we'd sit down and have dinner, and the places we would go with Bill were just phenomenal. So, yeah, thank you very much, Bill, for that. Great stories, and it's been wonderful.
Hi, I'm Melissa. Bill is my Uncle Willie. 3 of us are here today, myself, his grandniece, and my husband Matt, representing 9. The other 6 are with us, just not in person, they're online. Everyone has written notes for Uncle Willie, which I will leave with him from them, but from us, obviously I have a lifetime of memories, but I wanted to think about his legacy and about the next chapter for him, for us all without him. And a very recent thing that happened that really struck me was Jen telling me a story about Uncle Willie as a star, and that we look up and see him in the night sky. And so while this journey, or this part of his journey, has come to an end, the next part begins. So in lieu of a letter, we bought him a star, and we've registered a star in his name. And so I will leave him today with a map, so he knows where we'll find him and blow him a kiss, and a map for his family, especially his grandsons, so that we can all look up and say hi and blow him a kiss anytime we like. We love you, Uncle Willie. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
So Steve and I moved into beautiful Lanark, our lovely Lanark, 16 years ago, and yeah, Bill was just someone who provided us with advice because we were from Newcastle and we'd never kept cattle before. We decided we'd keep 2 Belted Galloways so Bill could tell us what we'd do about buffalo fly or what best to feed them during the winter, and a friend of ours was on our ride-on and a spark started a fire, so immediately called Bill. In fact, luckily we had the captain of the fire brigade living next door to us, so he and I'm sure many of you actually came and put the fire out at our place. So yeah, we often would catch up with Bill over cattle. Sometimes it was his that had got out, and we rounded them up and helped him that way as well. So he helped us a great deal over the time. So thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you, everyone, for all those wonderful memories and words. And we will now share together a time of reflection on Bill's life, a time for connecting with him, a time to sit back and just close your eyes and take a moment to remember Bill as you turn the pages of your memory, just like a book, while we listen to Eva Cassidy singing Fields of Gold.
You remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. So she took her love for to gaze a while among the fields of barley. In his arms she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love?
And now, if we could please be upstanding. We are grateful for the life that has been lived. We are truly blessed for all Bill's life has meant to us. We are glad we saw his face and felt the love of his hand. We cherish the memories of his words, his deeds, and his character. We cherish his friendship, and most of all, we cherish his love. So while we say farewell to the Bill that we knew, we move forward knowing that he has become a part of us. He lives on within us, in the thoughts and the memories that we cherish. We are filled with gratitude for his life and for the privilege of sharing it with him. It is with love, honour and respect we bid him farewell. All that you shared cannot be altered by time or circumstance. Love is how you stay alive even after you have gone. Please be seated. As we all now move forward on our journey in our own lives, we will miss Bill as he brought so much to so many in this world. May we remember Bill and all that he brought to our lives, the qualities he shared. Do as he did by treating those around you as equal. Aim to see the best in people. Life is all about the journey. Find the joy and bring it forward in your life as you share this with others. Listen to those in your world. Connect to your family and to your loved ones. Be available to share some words and some time, some laughter, and be supportive. And remember, there is always something to learn, more to know. Don't underestimate the power you have within you. Be aware of those around you and in your world. Take the time to listen and do what needs to be done. Remember to have fun, and that life is for creating and believing all things are possible. In Bill's own words, I had a high quality of life, and how good is that? The time has come to place your special notes to Bill, or write or draw on Bill's casket. Members of the RFS, please come forward to commence this special token to Bill, followed by his family, and then you all as his dear friends. After you have said your goodbyes, make your way through the Guard of Honour as you leave.
Looking forward, looking back, I've come a long way down the track, got a long way left to go,
making songs from what I know, making sense of what I've seen. All the love we've had between you and I along the track, looking forward, looking back. There are strange days full of change on the way, but we'll be fine. Unlike some, I'll be leaning forward to see what's coming, looking forward, looking back. I've come a long way down the track, got a long way left to go, making songs from what I know. If I'm alone at night, I can see through all triviality of the day, and I'm okay. I just think of those who are dear to me, looking forward, looking back. I've come a long way down the track, got a long way left to go, making songs from what I know, making songs from what I know, looking forward, looking back.